Atheist Nomads, episode 416. What is a creed? Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin, and joining me is Lauren.
Hello!
And sorry this episode's late. With Lauren's health stuff that she has mentioned on the show,
Whoop, whoop.
it shouldn't be hard to figure out that, yeah, sometimes that's going to make the show late.
Yeah, I've been sleepy.
And sometimes I can pull off recording solo and sometimes I can't. And, okay, listeners, seriously, all this feedback about how awesome Lauren is.
I know, it's so good. It's so good.
Is making it really hard to record solo.
So much pressure.
Yeah.
That's all right. Hey, if it means the episode's out a few days late, but you get to have my sunny self, then okay, so be it. Maybe we'll up the patronage too. Give us money and it'll happen more often.
We do have a new patron, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get there. Oh, nice.
Yes. All right, so for dusting off the degree.
Is it a creed degree?
No, actually, I came from a non-creedal denomination.
Creedery. I was trying to be clever.
So there are the creedal denominations and religions, and the non-creedal denominations and religions.
Oh.
Some are fully creedal or non-creedal, and some kind of are, but kind of aren't.
Okay.
So first off, we need to talk about what is
a
creed.
Besides Assassin's Creed, because that's just awesome.
Or the Christian rock band Creed.
Ugh. No, that's not awesome.
No, they aren't. But creed is generally, colloquially, it can refer to, like, a creed can refer to a particular religion, but more
or
properly...
set of ideals.
No, like, what's your creed?
Oh.
The answer would be, what religion are you?
Oh.
That's kind of an old-timey way of, old-timey colloquial term. But it refers to articles of faith, or a confession, or a statement of faith. So a particular set of codified doctrines and belief that everyone who is a part of the in-group agrees to.
Okay.
And can agree to. I'm
Like
going to let you in on a little secret.
Okay.
Even the non-creedal religions and denominations are fucking creedal.
They have a creed, but they don't have that creed or that creed. Therefore, they're non-denominational.
Yeah, the ones who say our only creed is the Bible are full of bullshit. They have a creed that you have to agree to, or you
absolutely
a particular set of doctrines and beliefs that you have to agree to. For example, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which I grew up in, has the now 28 fundamental beliefs.
Oh.
When you are studying to get baptized or join the Adventist Church by confession of faith, which is meaning you were already baptized in a different church and do not feel like you need to be baptized again, then you still have to study the 28 fundamental beliefs and take baptismal vows.
Okay. No dunking, but still have to.
Well, if you're doing confession of faith, you still have to agree to basically the baptismal vows. They just don't call them baptismal vows at that point. And those are, depending on the exact form, include specific life choices, like agreeing to abstain from drugs, alcohol, caffeine.
Fun, sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Yeah. And in other cases are just straight up usually it's a statement within it that you understand and agree with the 28 fundamental beliefs of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
One of the...
Plus a bunch of other things.
Okay, yeah.
That's a creed.
That is a creed. Yes.
That is a statement of faith.
Is that a new thing?
No.
Then they've always had that.
Every group has had something that you have to agree to be allowed in as a member of the group.
Well, I mean, that's true.
And that something is that group's creed. The Judaism is generally considered non-creedal. Same with Islam. Well,
if that was true, then there wouldn't be Orthodox groups.
Jews have the Shema Yisrael, which
literally a name for a code.
Which translated into English reads, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." That is a creed.
Okay.
That is attesting to being a part of the people of Israel and believing that you believe in the one God.
Yeah, that's definitely something.
That's a creed. That's a very simple creed. That's usually not going to be enough to join that particular religion outside of birth, but that's something. And if a Orthodox Jew can't agree with that statement, that Orthodox Jew is likely to be kicked out.
Yeah, they're not going to last long.
Now, where I would say there are exceptions to even the non-creedal groups are actually creedal. The liberal denominations and Jewish sects are like the ones that don't care if you're an atheist and you can still be a member.
Yeah.
Unitarians would be a great example, but also Anglicans and or Episcopals and the Church of Christ, which is the other half of the Puritans from Unitarians.
I like the atheist creed. There's the, do you believe in God? No. And then there's the whatever. I'm a strong believer in the whatever, and I shall attest to it. Whatever.
The Islamic creed, even though Islam is non-creedal, they have a creed.
Now, who says that? Who calls them non-creedal?
We will get to
not like an international council of creed.
You will get to why some are determined to be non-creedal.
Also,
once we get to the ones that are considered creedal.
Just as a challenge, eat a piece of candy every time, or a shot every time we say creed, and see how upset you are by the end of the episode.
No, please don't, because I'm going to say that word a lot.
Yes, exactly. You're going to be throwing up.
No shots.
No shots.
Sips of light beer.
Oh, sip. There we go.
Yeah.
Pinky out.
The Shahada is the two-part statement of faith of Islam, which translated into English is there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet.
Okay.
Both there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is the prophet of God.
Yeah.
So 2 parts. If they believe that Christians and Jews would agree there is no God but Allah, but don't accept that Muhammad is his prophet.
That's the separation of religions there.
Yeah.
They're Abrahamic, but
they're able to identify which ones are Muslims and which ones are not.
Yes. Okay.
Which fits with the traditional Christian creeds.
Because they're basically the same thing, right? There's the one God, and then his son is Jesus. No, wait. He himself is his son, Jesus. That's weird. I confused myself. I withdraw my statement.
Some view 1 Corinthians 15, 3-7 as the earliest Christian creed, dating back to even pre-Paul. For I handed on to you as first importance what I in turn had received, that Christ died for our sins, and not against all, in accordance with the Scriptures, that he was buried, and then he was raised on the 3rd day, in accordance with the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12, then he appeared to more than 500 brothers and sisters at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have died. Then he appeared to James, and then to all the apostles.
God, he really got around.
Yeah. That is viewed by some to be the first creed of Christianity.
That he's the son of God, he died, he raised up, and was seen by a bunch of people.
Yep.
Okay.
And there are witnesses attesting to that he was raised.
Right, the witnesses that people love to quote at me. But there are witnesses.
Then there is the old Roman creed. This one has largely fallen out of use. It is probably based off of a 2nd century rule of faith and then updated several times till the 4th century.
As is the way.
Right before the newer creeds. And it translated in English reads, I believe in God the Father Almighty, and in Christ Jesus, his only Son, our Lord, who was born of the Holy Spirit and the Virgin Mary, who under Pontius Pilate was crucified and buried, and on the 3rd day rose again from the dead, ascended to heaven, sits at the right hand of the Father, whence he came to judge the living and the dead, and in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Church, the remission of sins, the resurrection of the flesh, the life everlasting.
Oh, barf. Okay, yeah, that wraps it up.
That creed...
That one throws in a few extra details, doesn't it?
Yes.
Very important extra details. Like Mary.
Born of the Holy Spirit and the Virgin Mary.
Yep.
Anti-Gnostic.
Yes.
Absolutely anti-Gnostic. That was the...
Oh, the internal feeling of... The inner knowledge.
Inner hidden knowledge, and that flesh is evil, and thus Jesus has nothing to do with God the Father, because that was an evil demon out of the Old Testament. And Jesus was...
Because Jizz was involved?
No, just because of all the murder.
Well, I mean, he was, not nice guy.
Like all of the reasons that a lot of atheists will point to. Yeah, Gnostics were fans of that same principle. But also that Jesus was not born of flesh. He had no flesh. He just appeared to have flesh. But he couldn't have had flesh because he wouldn't have been perfect if he had flesh. So he was a spiritual being of pure spirit.
Encased in meat?
No.
Not encased
in meat. Just appearing to be encased in meat.
Oh, like aliens in sci-fis that appear as in a form that would make you more comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that covers that.
Is that what he was? Blonde-haired, blue-eyed. That his idea of perfection.
It doesn't quite address
Jesus.
It doesn't quite address Arianism. Not to be confused, which is not the same as Aryan Nation.
We'll save that one for another day.
No. I need to explain the difference.
This is kind of important right now.
The Arianism is a ancient heresy founded by Uranus.
Oh, Uranus. Sorry, that was such a good setup. You can make my mascara run. That was such a good setup. Okay.
While the whole idea of Aryans as a race comes from proto-Nazi views of the pure white Indo-European
19th century
group coming from with their origin from kind of Central Asia,
right,
Southern Asia, and then migrating into Europe, and but being the pure Aryan people.
Really fun to throw that at people that Aryans were originally from the Asian. People will just
that
I thought they were talking Scandinavian or something. No,
that Pakistanis and people from northern India are Aryans, and Iran,
not the Caucasus Mountains. People kind of get those confused too.
But also, the peoples that populated modern Europe migrated from the Caucasus region, from places like Iran, which that name could have very easily been Aryan.
There you go.
Because it's from the same word.
That kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So, Arianism is not the same as... So then there's the Apostles' Creed, which was not written by the apostles.
They're just shock. Secondhand everything.
Its origin is the 5th century Gaul, modern-day France.
Oh, I love Gaul.
And is a modification and adjustment from the Old Roman Creed. It makes it much longer and is accepted by the Roman Catholic Church, Lutherans, Anglicans, Presbyterians, the Moravian Church, the Methodist Church, and the Congregational Church.
Oh, so this is most of them. Well, yeah, that's a lot.
This is the high church churches.
Okay.
And there's a version of it for the... Well, yeah, and it's only in the... It was only really ever adopted in the Latin-speaking part of the church. That would become the Catholic and Protestant, not as much in the Greek-speaking, they'd become the Orthodox churches. This one, too many listeners know by heart for me to bother reading it.
Thank you.
Especially since it gets really, really long.
Thank you.
And absolutely tries to counter Arianism.
Okay.
Undoubtedly, it was written to to identify the Arian heretics so that they could be killed. That's what this was for.
Well, I mean, if your life is in danger, maybe just don't say your creed out loud.
No. It's try to force them to say the creed. If they say it, well, then they're good Christians. If they won't say the creed because they believe it's heresy, that it's wrong, then you killed them.
Okay.
Yeah. creeds were a way of finding out who needs to die.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It is where you get the "and descended into hell" line.
Ah, who did?
Jesus.
Okay.
That when Jesus died, he descended into hell, and then he
was
rose
born
again.
of the flesh and was sin.
No, that has nothing to do with
sin.
That has nothing to do with that.
Oh.
That's a
he was just a douche?
No, that's a belief that when Christ died, he descended into hell to I need to look into that one more, because that actually never really came up in my studies, because that was crazy Catholic heresy.
Right. Jesus in heaven and Jesus in hell. I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, that would be a good one for next week. Then the Apostles' Creed got updated in 325 at the Council of Nicaea to create the Nicene Creed, which then got updated again in 451
to the not-so-Nicene
to create the
Creed.
Chalcedonian Creed.
Ooh, I like that, because that's what I get in Jasper.
Which this one, if you go back, oh man, year and a half or so in the archives when we talk about the Oriental Orthodox Schism.
Oh, yeah.
That's where this one comes in.
Oh, okay. We do love our schisms.
So,
well, if you think about it, schisms is spelled wrong. Sorry.
It's not an English word.
I know. Well, I know now.
It came from Greek.
It does. It definitely sounds like it should be an SHKC, not HCH. Anyway, sorry. Total random tangent.
It includes definitively in it that Jesus is coessential with the Father.
Okay.
Even further strengthening the opposition of Arianism.
Right. So this is definitely a does this lead to the Trinity stuff?
This is really codifying the Trinity as a concept, a full concept. And also has the phrase "two natures unconfusedly, unchangeably, and indivisibly inseparably," which are directed at Eutychianism and Nestorianism.
You didn't mention Eutychianism.
No, I don't think that one was part of that one.
Too many isms, huh?
The coessential with us was also for Apollinarianism, another heresy that was active at the time.
I love heresies.
So this one allowed, in the areas under the correct amount of control, they could get judges to, burn heretics by this point. And in other areas, they couldn't.
That was very important to
and they had to, but yeah, this one, it was their way of deciding the Nestorian question of, does Jesus have a human and spiritual nature, or does he have a spiritual and human nature? Like, is he God and human, or is he God and human?
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't matter which word you put first, but it does.
And it's basically, does he simultaneously have two natures, or are both of those things part of his nature? It's really like that kind of nuance.
Yeah.
And
what do they say?
And that's what caused the split. The most of the church in the East went one way, and most of the churches in the West went the other. And the Pope strong-armed the emperor to strong-arm the Patriarch of Constantinople to get the bishops in at least Turkey to go along with the Pope, while the Egyptian and Ethiopian churches and the Syrian church split off and did their own thing. Okay. Creating the Oriental Orthodox churches. That was covered in way more detail about a year and a half ago in a different Dustin Off the Degree on the Oriental Orthodox Church. Like, that was when Aaron was still on the show.
Yeah, I think so.
So that was a while ago. There have been more creeds since then. The Catholic Church likes to create new creeds every so often.
Yeah, but those are like...
But those aren't the ones that regularly
Those aren't foundational.
Those aren't the ones that become part of the liturgy where everybody has to recite it in unison as part of the service.
Black Book Club. Another bubble reference. No, wait, same bubble reference.
Mm-hmm. So when you get into those kinds of creeds, if you consider the Nicene Creed to be the model of what a creed is, then Adventists don't have a creed.
I see.
And Mormons don't have a creed, and neither do Jews or Muslims.
They don't have the set doctrine, this code that they recite in order to weed out the unbelievers. But they do have a codified set of rules that everybody either does or does not actually agree to.
Coming at it as an atheist, my view on it is the people who think those are non-creedal groups are full of bullshit, full of shit, is that the Muslims don't need that long of a creed to identify who's Muslim.
Yeah, literally 2 statements.
Jews don't need that long of a creed to identify who's a Jew.
Yep. And that is where I got confused in high school between the difference between Catholics and Mormons.
And Christians do need that much to identify who are the bad Christians, who are the true Christians that are going to heaven, and who is not.
Unquote. Yes, and that's what it came down to. Because to me, it was just as simple as a statement. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior? Yes? Oh, okay. How about you? Yes? Okay, congratulations. You're both Christians. Stop fighting. It's all bullshit. They didn't like that. But
they don't like that for very long historical reasons.
Very long. It's not that simple, teenage Lauren. It did stop some fights, though.
That's amazing.
Well, we're high schoolers.
True.
Easily influenced. Malleable.
Mormons consider the Bible and the Book of Mormon and the other Mormon books to be their creed.
Yeah. Which, fair enough.
Like, evangelicals say that the Bible is their creed. When no, that's not your creed. What is it they make you agree to join the group?
What's the secret password?
And if you stop believing that, will they kick you out of the group?
Yeah. I love the Unitarians.
If they'll kick you out for not agreeing, still believing what you had to agree to join, that's a creed.
Oh my God, it sounds like towing the corporate line.
It is.
That's exactly what that is.
The one group that I think honestly might not really fit with that is the Baptist Church, which isn't, like, Southern Baptist isn't really a denomination. It's a collection of thousands of independent churches.
It's a co-op?
It's a co-op.
Co-op of churches. I like that.
Yeah.
Too bad they're all bastards.
Who gather for a convention. Yeah.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Convention, conferences, whatevers.
All right. Well, I think that wraps that one up.
All right. News.
Time for news. CPAC happened recently.
And if that isn't enough to induce a headache, keep listening.
Yeah. Representative Madison Cawthorn.
What is CPAC again? I know it's Conservative
Political Action Committee.
There we go. Okay.
They have an annual conference where they try to figure out what are the most radical things you can say that will get applause among the base.
Yeah. It's like a liturgy test.
And Cawthorn made the claim that Biden's new door-to-door vaccination plan is actually just to get the apparatus set up to come back to take people's guns and Bibles.
Because we need an apparatus for that. We don't. It's called SWAT. But not happening either.
If you want to talk about...
Freaking Catholic.
If you want to talk about federal apparatuses to go... Like, there are so many different angles to address this from. But a federal apparatus...
You almost can't. Like, there's so many, you can't even address it. It's just crazy.
To go door to door, there's the U.S. Postal Service.
Postal Service. Oh, that's a... Duh.
There's the Census Bureau. The Census Bureau even goes through and checks who's actually in each home.
Yeah. True. They're much more thorough than post... believe me, we've been getting so-and-so's mail for so long.
Yeah. Several
so-and-sos. And you've been here for 10 years.
11.
That's ridiculous now that I think about it.
Yeah.
That pisses me off. Anyway, yes. Postal Service. Census. Power utilities. They don't know who you are and where you are. And
the IRS?
The IRS? Yeah.
Yeah. That's not a hard one. They don't
just imagine the census sending some little old grandma out to steal your guns, to take your guns. Yeah, that's going to happen.
What is actually happening is these mass vaccination programs. Those have been great at reaching high-risk people who were able to get to the site It's been good at reaching people in congregate care settings where they can send somebody to do the vaccinations. It hasn't done a damn thing for an 80-year-old who's homebound.
No, it hasn't. And it hasn't done much in regards to getting out to towns that are too far away from the main areas. Rural. Yep. The problem with rural is that, let's say there is a town that is 30 miles outside of Boise. So it's not considered part of the Treasure Valley. But there's another town that's another 15 miles away. And there's another town that's another 20 miles away. There's no centralized location to send a bus.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can send it to the first one and get that population, but then you're missing the other 100 others.
And what about
able to come in?
What about the people who live 20 miles out from that town?
Yeah, exactly. We have people. Heck, we know somebody who has a relative living up in bumfuck nowhere outside of, out in the boonies, who is homebound.
Yeah.
She can't get out to get vaccinated. She's a grandmother who's sitting in her house waiting to die, kind of thing. And,
right.
How do you help those people if there isn't somebody available to go take them, or if they can even leave the house? Ugh.
So door-to-door effort.
Yeah. Door-to-door would be... It would be expensive. It would be extensive. But I guess the theory is that if they're not leaving their house, they're not getting exposed to it in the first place.
The goal has been to get as many people as possible. And you start by...
Because 99% of people who are suffering from COVID, who are hospitalized for COVID now, are unvaccinated.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be happening anymore.
So the goal has been to make it as easy as possible to get as many people as you can. That hasn't worked for a lot of people, too.
Yeah.
There are people who aren't vaccinated.
Ignoring the ones who don't want to be.
There are still people.
Always those. There are still people who want it who can't get it. They either can't take off work to go during business hours, which, I mean, that in itself is bullshit.
Now, that shouldn't be an argument now that you can get it at any pharmacy.
True, but even a pharmacy at 9 o'clock at night may not be willing to open a new vial or able to or whatever. I mean, there are stipulations.
Yeah, but if you show up...
If you even have a pharmacy.
There's the people who haven't been able to get one because of work, you can now.
Yeah.
If they're available 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at every pharmacy, you can find it sometime before or after work. I recommend after work or on your day off. But yeah, it's available. And this is just another way of helping those people who maybe... And there's also the issue of the people who... still don't have childcare available, and they can't go because of that. This will make it work
2 jobs.
Yeah,
and so they don't have a day off. And if they do have a day off, they're not going to be given a day off to recover if they're sick.
Right.
They lose their jobs.
So this should help with a lot of those outliers that are a lot of people.
Yeah, if you really think about each one of those little things, and that's a certain subset of the population, that's a lot of people.
And yesterday,
not everybody lives in a city.
Yesterday, I looked through Oregon and Idaho's vaccination rates.
Yeah.
The bigger the city, the higher the vaccination rate.
Naturally. Ease of access, political leanings, education.
Least populated areas have the lowest vaccination rates. Owyhee County is sitting at 17%.
Yeah.
A lot of that is access.
And I know that they just sent buses down to, I think, Homedale or some little towns nearby. But, if you weren't able to get in on that day.
Yeah. If the FEMA trailer's there one day and you don't make it that day.
Yeah, because they'll be back in a couple weeks to do the second shot, but they won't have the first shot.
Right.
You're SOL. Yeah. So, yeah. Also, if people have relatives who live out in the boonies, reach out to them and offer a ride or even just to talk about it.
Now, this being part of some plot to steal guns and Bibles.
Sticker guns!
That is so stupid.
That's just made up, obviously.
Yeah.
And crazy. So.
An attempt to create outrage where there doesn't need to be any.
No, that is the Republican MO right now. Fear-mongering.
Yeah.
Right now.
Also,
where's that new party? We're waiting.
Also at CPAC, the Reverend James Altman delivered the opening prayers. He is the Catholic priest who claimed that true Catholics can't be Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Who's called climate change a hoax. He's denounced COVID vaccines.
He's a hardliner.
And this past Easter weekend, he went back to putting communion wafers directly in the mouths of his parishioners because COVID is a hoax.
Right.
So...
how many times has he had it?
He used his CPAC appearance to repeatedly talk about cancel culture.
Oh, gee, I wonder who suffered from that. That is a good way to reach a lot of Republicans.
Uh-huh. And then, during his prayer, said, quote, "So now and always let us realize our health is in the name of the Lord, who actually did make heaven and earth, and that's all the science we need to know." End quote.
Oh, what a sad fucktard.
God made heaven and earth. That's all the science we need to know.
I love it. Now, if that's a creed that we can separate people, not burn,
no,
not kill, but separate.
Exile.
Yeah, we need to do more banishment. We need some more pirate islands to banish people to.
Maybe to Owyhee County.
Oh.
No.
The bighorn sheep don't deserve that.
True. Oh, man.
Mal here.
So, yeah, that's that.
That's that. Way to go, CPAC.
Pauline Bauer is from Pennsylvania, and she was part of the January 6th insurrection storming the Capitol.
Okay.
She could be heard yelling about wanting to hang Nancy Pelosi, and then decided to represent herself in court.
Oh, that is never a good idea. This ought to be entertaining.
She claimed, all right, so when the police talked to her that day, she's caught on camera saying, quote, "You bring them out or we're coming in. Bring them out now. They're criminals. They need to hang." During her court hearing last month, she told the judge, quote, "I am here by special divine appearance, a living soul. I do not stand under the law. Under Genesis 1, God gave man dominion over the law." End quote.
Yeah, I can see why she went with her own, because no lawyer is going to quote the Bible at a judge.
She has also threatened the court clerk with jail time.
Whose law is she citing here?
She's filed counterclaims against the court, in the court, trying to declare herself. She filed a patent of nativity for the nativity of Pauline of the family Krukski. Date of nativity, 4th day of June, AD 1967. This document serves as proof that my living DNA existed on this land before there was a United States of America or any state.
1967?
Yep.
There was no America when she was born?
Oh, there's all kinds of weird claims of
this is some serious
sovereign citizens that the U.S. didn't actually exist at this point in history. It only existed at this point. Or at this point, it wasn't the United States anymore because this court has a gold fringe around the flag, and that means it's a maritime court. And you can't try me in a court of the Admiralty for crimes committed on land.
They've heard all of this before. This is lawyer year 2 school, but that's okay. They really do believe this stuff, so they're cray-cray.
And she believes that she owns a pizzeria, and she believes that, she is immune to the laws of the United States.
Oh, I'm guessing she's not paying her taxes then. IRS, get in on that.
She's already facing 20 years in prison.
Right. Doesn't matter. Stick her for life if she hasn't been paying her taxes.
Yeah, the whole thing about...
She's Al Caponeing it.
The IRS can catch you if nobody else can.
They're freaking scary.
She was caught on body cameras.
But she does. Yeah, we don't need the IRS for this one.
No.
We don't need spooks. We got YouTube. And that's all we need.
We have police body camera footage too.
Which always surprises me as to how the cops are able to get away with so much crap when they have their own body cams on. But besides that, there's no defense when you're caught on camera saying let him hang.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about their portraits.
No.
That would have been a good defense. Sorry, no, that would be a better defense.
She was specifically...
she's divine and above the law.
She was specifically caught on one of the random videos yelling, "Bring out that bitch, we're going to hang that fucking bitch."
Yeah. No, the people who went in there found the zip ties and started making cuffs. There were people yelling stuff about, people were... As if you thought naively that people weren't there to hurt other people, you deserve to have your face smacked with the truth.
Someone erected gallows outside the Capitol.
It was not symbolic. The people who were doing that were serious.
Yeah.
And you can't stand by and say, well, they didn't mean it. Most of the people there were peaceful. It doesn't matter. Just like with, everything else in the world, if you're a bystander who's standing there supporting whatever the cause is, you're as guilty as the people who are...
And if you break into the Capitol trying to seize government officials to hang them, you are not a bystander.
Oh, no.
Nobody who entered the Capitol was a bystander.
No, that was active participation in a revolution. And, idiots. I love watching these people fall, so this is a particularly fun one.
All right, now we're going to move across the Atlantic.
Okay.
Over to France.
Okay.
Where a ruling came down that has been determined to be the first verdict of its kind.
From France, this could be 50-50.
A 16-year-old girl who's being identified in court documents as Milla describes herself as an atheist, and she started posting videos on Instagram and then TikTok criticizing Islam and the Quran.
Okay.
She's now 18.
Okay.
These videos drew a lot of reactions.
Which is the point.
Death threats.
Yep.
Rape threats. Murder threats. I already mentioned death threats. No, she didn't make the videos to get threats.
No, she made the videos to be edgy.
She didn't make the videos to try to get that kind of...
She lives in France. She knows... Anybody over the age of 14 knows what happens when you diss Islam openly, in especially France. There's a little bit of history there.
Yes, but by criticizing Islam, you are not inherently signing on to getting death threats.
I am absolutely in agreement. She should be protected, but she should not have expected anything less.
The reactions were strong enough that she had to change schools, got police protection, and charges...
I absolutely hope that she is safe.
Charges were filed against 11
That's one
11 of the people who were making these
At least they're able to track some of them down.
They have been convicted.
It always blows me that people would threaten with raping somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's a particularly... I don't know how to describe my feelings for it. It's like, death threats make sense. Threatening to rape somebody doesn't.
Yeah, there's a special element of it with Muslims making threats against women.
Yeah. Oh, it's always against women. Obviously, you don't threaten to rape a dude. Unless, you're in prison or something. The prison, stereotype. But no, it's definitely to make a woman fearful. Mm-hmm. Fear for her life, because rape is oftentimes, followed by harm and death. But why not just do a death threat? Why do a rape threat? I guess it's mentally more terrifying than a death threat, because death threats are like so bad, it's easy to just kind of like almost ignore them. But a rape is somehow more personal?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a really hard time with that one.
A death threat's not inherently misogynistic.
No,
and if you're trying to get the misogyny in there, that's how you make it misogynistic.
That's true. That's... any woman can make a death threat. No woman makes a rape threat.
Yeah. And don't write to correct us that there've been...
Yes, I know it's happened somewhere, sometime. I was just trying to explain my own distaste for that particular kind of threat.
This is all part of a new court that has been set up in Paris to prosecute online crimes, including harassment and discrimination. And they had initially filed charges against 13 people. They dropped 2 of them. The 11 that were convicted have been given suspended prison terms of 4 to 6 months and have been collectively fined 2,500 euros. So
they got away with it.
We're talking about $250 each. is the fine.
They created a court especially to deal with this, just to be lenient?
Yeah.
That's... Wow. I guess that's the difference between death threats and rape threats right there.
There were also death threats.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure those ones, those were the convicted ones. I'm sure the rape threats were the two that got off. Because that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You should at least be on some kind of probation or not able to use online accounts.
The suspended sentences that kind of implies kind of probation. If they do it again.
It doesn't imply squat.
If they do it again, then they actually have to serve the time.
Great. That just leaves it open for the 100,000 other people to do it.
Yeah.
Freely.
Yeah. So she's happy that she won.
Okay. There is something to that.
And a new study has looked into stereotypes about atheists.
Oh, this is funny.
This was published in Social Psychology and Personality Science, and it was specifically looking for are there positive stereotypes about atheists. And they conducted the study on several different occasions, giving people a series of hypothetical narratives and choosing which version seemed more likely. Where in one case, one version, it's identified the person as an atheist, and in the other, there's no identification of anything about the religious beliefs of the person.
Well, it was like, you see a person kick a puppy. You see another person feed the puppy a treat. Which one's an atheist?
Well, one of them was John Smith was a serial killer. John Smith was an atheist and a serial killer. People found John Smith as an atheist and a serial killer more believable than just John Smith was a serial killer. That was not a surprise to anyone.
Right.
They also included stuff, like they found that even atheists and otherwise non-religious people believed that the atheist serial killer was more likely than the generic serial killer.
Because I have the opposite opinion, so that's so funny.
They also found that it was nearly universal that everybody found atheists to be more open-minded, more scientific, and more fun.
I love that. I love that we're the fun ones.
We're the fun serial killers.
Bring us, yes. Invite us to to your party. We'll make it a riot. Keep your eye on us, but still hand us a beer.
They specifically found that people who are
so crazy,
non-religious, less religious than average religiosity, would rather have an atheist as a science tutor or to go to a house party hosted by an atheist.
I love that. I've been to a couple of those house parties. They are the bomb.
They found that people who are more than average on religiosity would rather have an atheist, or would rather not have an atheist as a science tutor, probably because they'd think the atheist would be trying to deconvert them.
Or forcing that evolution on them.
And would not want to go to a house party hosted by an atheist, despite believing that atheists are more scientifically minded, more open-minded, and more fun.
Right. So you don't want to go to a party that's a den of sin.
Right.
Even though that's where all the fun is. I have to admit, though, if you combine those things, our science parties were so much fun.
Oh, they were.
And I think our time is running out.
All right. It's time for feedback. Kylie, we are almost done.
Go finish your movie.
From
the music? Go, yeah.
From Abel via the website, I have been listening to a lot of podcasts on my long commute, and when yours pops up, I always put it on first. Thank you guys for being real and spending your time making a great show. Dustin, your Dustin Off the Degree is definitely one of my favorite subjects you guys cover. Lauren, you make the show fun. Sad to hear you don't want to co-host because you can really feel the love you two share together. But happy you haven't really been missing many episodes since you said you were stopping the co-hosting. With all that said, be well, keep questions moving around your heads. And if you're ever in Maine, email me. I am one of the best non-tour guides ever, aka used to drive cab for years.
Yay! I love tour guides. Also, yeah, we mentioned that I wasn't going to be on the show as much because I was not doing well, which led to a very severe change in medications and mentality, which means I am doing better.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because this has happened a couple of times maybe where we've said Lauren's going to bow out for a little bit, and then I'm like back the next week all peppy and happy.
Well, I think a little bit of it is taking the pressure off of having to be on the show.
It takes the pressure off. We're doing this late because sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's nice to not have that pressure. So I've been doing much better. We're still tweaking things, but yes, Maine, man. So I hope you listen to Judge John Hodgman, because if you don't, you need to. And also, I want to go to Maine because of that man. And yeah, I'd love to hit you up if we ever go there. I want that lobster, man. I just want the lobster.
And from Janice via Patreon. Hi out there in Idaho. I've been meaning to become a member and help you out a little, and I finally did. Yay! Because I hope you two keep this going forever. I look forward to every episode of your podcast. You guys are the best. Thank you for the work you do.
Thank you. How long has this show been going on now?
9 years.
9 years. In podcast years, that is forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. The patronage does help a lot. At this point, we can't afford to let it go.
Yep.
So here we are.
And new patron.
Yay!
Janice.
Janice! So this episode is dedicated to Janice and lobsters and Assassin's Creed.
All right, if you want to support the show, you can find out how at atheistnomads.com/donate. If you want to leave us some feedback, I love it when people hit the SpeakPipe button and leave us voice feedback. You can do that right off the website.
It's a podcast. Come on.
There's
hear your voices.
Also always the feedback form, and we're available all of the ways. Though if you use the Facebook page, which I am not killing because
necessity,
they now are a podcast distribution platform. Not killing that, but messages will likely not be seen.
Also, one more thing. If you have any ideas for t-shirts, let us know.
Oh yeah, we need to get on that.
Yes, we do.
So until next week, remember,
all the wonder is lost.